The first thing the security guard noticed that morning wasn't the hum of the lobby lights or the gleam of polished marble floors inside Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. It was the silence. At exactly 8:12 a.m., the main screen at the security desk flickered, then went black. No warning, no alert. 12 long seconds of nothing. In a building where every second was logged, scanned, monitored, and audited, 12 seconds was an eternity. The screen came back on as quickly as it had vanished. Everything appeared normal, but something wasn't. 12 seconds earlier, someone had used a vault override code that only 5 people in the country could legally access. No alarms were triggered, no visible breach, but deep inside the bank's secure digital infrastructure, something quiet and surgical had happened. A door had opened, a door no one should have touched. 3 days later, an emergency meeting was called on the 14th floor. No reporters, no public statements, just a room full of pale faces, pressed suits, and one terrifying fact. $24 million in digital bearer bonds had vanished. Not transferred, not wired, not even stolen in the traditional sense. Erased. Emily Grayson wasn't supposed to be a suspect. She was a cybersecurity analyst, known for her quiet precision and dedication. 6 years on the job, not a single disciplinary mark, not even a late badge scan. She lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the south side, went for morning runs, and kept to herself. But the system log told a different story. At 8:10 a.m., 2 minutes before the blackout, her badge had been scanned at the main entrance. Her credentials were used again at the elevator checkpoint. And then, during the 12-second blackout, someone using her terminal initiated a vault override sequence. There was just one problem. Emily wasn't at work that day. Detective Aaron Cross with U.S. Secret Service had seen a lot in his 18 years on the job. Credit card skimmers, cyber ransom crews, insider trading rings, but a clean, precise inside breach of the Federal Reserve, that was a first. Emily sat across from him in the interrogation room, hands pressed flat on the cold steel table. She looked terrified, but not broken. I wasn't there. I didn't even swipe in. Cross slid the security footage across the table. A figure in a black hoodie, head down, baseball cap low, walking through security checkpoints with her badge. Then who was this, he asked. She stared at the footage. It was surreal watching herself not be herself. Not me, she said, but whoever it is, they knew exactly how to move. She was right. The movements were sharp, confident, not fumbling like a thief guessing their way through. This was an inside job. The media got wind of the breach before the investigation even stabilized. Federal Reserve hack, insider under suspicion. They didn't name Emily, but everyone in the building could do the math. Her colleagues stopped speaking to her in the cafeteria. Someone cleared out her cubicle before HR even finished processing her suspension. She was stripped of access, badge, and identity in less than 12 hours. But what destroyed her most wasn't the whispers. It was the silence from Mark Talbot. Mark was her direct supervisor. He trained her when she was fresh out of grad school. He'd sat in her corner during long audit nights, cracked dumb jokes to keep the room light. He was the one who told her to trust no one but him. And when she needed him, he didn't even pick up the phone. Inside Emily's apartment, federal agents found something that made everything worse. Behind an air vent in her bedroom, they recovered a small lockbox containing 3 encrypted hard drives, a handwritten list of internal admin passwords, a flash drive with mirrored access logs from the Federal Reserve. Explain this, Agent Cross said, holding the flash drive between 2 gloved fingers. Emily's hands trembled. I've never seen that before. I didn't put that there. Someone broke in? There's no sign of forced entry, another agent muttered. To the outside world, it was clear. Insider breach. To Cross, something was off. The handwriting on the password list wasn't right-handed. Emily was. And the vent screws weren't stripped, meaning whoever planted the evidence had her keys or access. The next break in the case came from a fingerprint. The FBI forensics lab lifted a print from the inside of Emily's laptop case, someone other than her. It belonged to Daniel Klein. Daniel was a name the bank didn't like to say out loud, a former contractor, fired 2 years earlier for tampering with access logs, known for getting into places he shouldn't. He'd been blacklisted from every major financial institution in the country. A burner phone registered to a fake name paint near Emily's apartment 3 nights before the breach. Cross and his team tracked him to a warehouse unit in Detroit. When the tactical team moved in, Daniel didn't even run. He was sitting at a folding table, a mess of wires, monitors, and fake security badges spread around him like trophies. "You're not here because of me," Daniel said before anyone asked a question. You're here because of him. Who's him? Daniel smirked, the one still in the building. Inside Daniel's hideout, agents recovered cloned versions of Emily's badge credentials and access chips from 4 other employees. The entire setup was a ghost operation. No traceable money trail, no physical cash. But Daniel wasn't the mastermind. Digital forensics uncovered something stranger. The $24 million wasn't routed overseas or into offshore accounts. It had been redirected into dormant Treasury sub-accounts accessible only from inside the reserve itself. The thief didn't just steal the money. They buried it inside the system. And there was only one kind of person who could do that. Someone with executive clearance. The deeper Cross dug, the more one name kept surfacing. Mark Talbot. He was the only senior cybersecurity director on duty in the hour before the breach. He had access to the override codes. He had clearance to mask internal transactions. And Daniel's phone had received an encrypted text the night before the breach. It came from a burner number tied to Mark's neighborhood. When investigators subpoenaed Mark's financial records, the motive unfolded like a rotten map. Mark wasn't just in debt. He was buried. Failed investments, quiet loans, a divorce settlement that had stripped half his net worth. He was 2 months away from losing his home in Lake Forest. And then there was a paper trail not of theft, but of opportunity. Offshore shell companies created months earlier. A false incident report filed internally just days before the breach. A report meant to delay real-time detection by a crucial 15 minutes. The betrayal stung Emily more than the accusation. She'd spent 6 years trusting Mark. He'd spent 6 months setting her up. But Mark underestimated her. Long before the breach, Emily had quietly embedded her own sub-layer encryption into her employee badge, a personal failsafe. The badge not only scanned into the system, it also logged its GPS movement independently of the reserve security network. That private log showed something damning. Her badge left the building at 8:14 a.m. in Mark Talbot's pocket. The timeline collapsed in on him like a house of cards. He'd used Daniel to clone the badge, blackmailed him with an old debt, and planted evidence in Emily's apartment to frame her. His plan was elegant, almost perfect, until Emily's private tracker turned it into his downfall. On a rainy Thursday at 3:06 a.m., black SUVs rolled into Mark's cul-de-sac. Neighbors peered through their curtains as the quiet man, who worked in IT, was pulled from his home in handcuffs. Mark didn't fight. He didn't even speak. When agents searched his home office, they found encrypted access logs, a burner phone matching Daniel's messages, and keys to a storage unit filled with counterfeit ID badges. Daniel, now cooperating with prosecutors, revealed the entire plot. Mark had offered him $500,000 to ghost into the building, trigger the blackout, and plant the evidence. Mark's plan was to launder the stolen funds through multiple Treasury accounts and pull them out over time, making it look like they'd simply evaporated through system error. Emily was the perfect fall guy. Loyal, quiet, invisible. But even in the courtroom, Mark tried to rewrite the narrative. He claimed Daniel was the real mastermind, that Emily helped, that he was a victim of their scheme. Then the prosecutors unveiled the tracker logs, the encrypted communications, the burner phone records, the access keys. His lies collapsed under the weight of cold data. Mark Talbot pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud, conspiracy to commit financial crimes, and obstruction of justice. Daniel Klein received a reduced sentence for cooperation. Emily walked free, but not unscarred. In the weeks between her suspension and Mark's arrest, she'd lived as a suspect in a world she'd spent years protecting. Friends had turned away. Headlines had called her an insider unnamed. But the FBI noticed her encryption trick, her foresight, her ability to think 3 steps ahead even when cornered. 6 months later, Emily walked into a new office building, this time at Federal Bureau of Investigation, Cybercrime Division. The woman they almost destroyed became the one who caught the next Mark Talbot before he could ever act. Here's the part the public never got to hear. The Treasury eventually recovered most of the $24 million, but not all. A small fraction, less than $2 million, disappeared in the noise, moved through a channel no one could trace. Somewhere out there, someone else was involved, someone who never left a fingerprint. And that's how some of the most dangerous crimes in America work. No blood, no bodies, just trust, technology, and silence. If this story gripped you, if it made you question how far someone can go when power and trust collide, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this story, because the next crime like this may already be unfolding.